without hope. Forever without light.
For me, that was one of the most exciting parts of cracking open Dark Souls, because having gone through Demon Souls and then looking up all that extra outside information on how world tendency works was admittedly a pain in the ass, but at the same time it spun such a huge kind of mysterious narrative about the game where it's like, there's
I feel like
so
it was
much
a little
there was
too
a-
you have to
hidden in
uncover.
Demon's
There was a
Souls.
randomness, but you kind of sensed that you had some influence
Yeah.
over it, even if it wasn't known. I'm all for black boxes in games. I'm all for there being an algorithm or some secrets that maybe you can uncover, but it's these these kind of like Maxwell's demons kind of focusing how things are actually happening, even if you are part of that influence. And I think that kind of, but talking about mechanics and stuff, I think that probably goes back into the online. When I first played Demon Souls with the Hong Kong version, I didn't even know there was multiplayer. When I figured it out, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I think the Covenant system in particular in this game was ridiculously confusing, even for people versed in Demon Souls. Like when you get the Way of the White, you're like, right at the beginning from the cleric, the fat cleric guy, you're like, okay, I got
What
one.
does this
Can I do
do?
anything yet? And then
No.
I know the PC version was just hacked, so you can summon people from your like friends list or something.
really?
Oh, really?
I don't want to see it go
Ruins
that
it.
way.
Friends
Ruins
Souls.
it.
Don't want to see it go that way.
Buddy Souls.
But on the same end, I also would say that online early in the game is very limited because one, people are going to kind of suck. They're really squishy, staying alive. I still think there should be a barrier to entry, but I do think maybe there should be a little more just general explanation than like the one sentences, or I mean, still keep it in character, but maybe some more explanation. That being said, they are going back to server, and I think
that
that's
was
going to
a
help.
that was a choice by Miyazaki.
Yeah, because they rolled the dice with Dark Souls, and I guess they weren't happy with it.
But then that means they're gonna shut it down one day.
Maybe at the end
They'll
they'll switch
keep
it
it going
over.
forever.
Yeah.
You know,
I
it's
mean,
an event.
it's a
chapter
slippery
of your
slope.
life.
It's a slippery slope, though, like, making it... Because I agree that, like, it'd be nice if it was a little more accessible so that new people can get on, so that the multiplayer stays functional for longer. But, like, at the same time, it's sort of its form and function, like, put together with these games. And that's one of the reasons I love them so much. I think someone in the Don't F With My Souls
Justin.
video, yeah, I think you said something about how, like, the form of the game and, like, the fact that things are obfuscated, like, the fact that you don't know, like, the game doesn't super teach you how to, like, parry or riposte. It says what the controls are, but you have to, like, figure it out. And, like, when you do, it's like you yourself as a human being have met the challenge. And, like, that to me is, like, it's another level. It's like a meta level. Like, this is a video game, and the fact that you have to change yourself to get better at it is, like, I don't know, it, like, puts you in the game in a whole new way. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's half the fun of Dark Souls,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can't, when you talk about this game, you can't really pinpoint a certain level or a certain enemy that kind of
Yeah.
makes it for you.
Because there
Like,
are no set pieces. No set pieces.
like Dark Souls is really, like, when you relate to someone, it's like the sum total of your experiences, right? Like, if I talk to you, I know that you have gone through the trials of doing slow rolls and be like, oh, okay, I guess I got to take off some of my armor. Like, I know that you know your way around the Firelink Shrine and where to go. Like, it's such an interconnected kind of, system of memories and mental notes that it's just like, it's a cool thing to have that, not a whole lot of other games do.
Yeah.
I think the way that it fits together, to me, the impressive part, they kind of have the level gating where if you're not strong enough, you can't get past a certain point, but there's so much room for your skill to define how powerful your character is and where you're able to get, It's not like a hard thing like, oh, I'll never beat this guy. Well, you dodge enough times and land enough hits, you can totally get past this. You can totally go there. So it's not like you feel like, oh, I'm only this level. If you do grind some souls, sometimes you feel like you want to get more powerful. Maybe you need to hit a certain level to equip a weapon or use a spell. But you don't have to do that just to go somewhere. If you're brave and you're like, I want to go this way, you can do it. You suck it up. You equip yourself as best you can, and then you just try to deal with it and get past it. You don't have a poison remedy and you're getting poisoned. You're like, I'll just try not to get poisoned. And I'll try not to get hit. I will get through it.
Yeah.
So just, you personally, you level up as a human being when you play.
And I
Dark
think
Souls, not just
the
as a video
game for me,
character.
like, they balanced it so well with, like, sometimes you strike out on your own and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna brave this, and other times, like, you realize, like, I have to go this way right now, even though it's super hard. And I think that that's such a cool balance because you feel accomplished either way.
I feel like the Dark Souls community is like a really good PTSD support group where everyone's just kind of licking each other's wounds and like, yeah, I know what that's like, bro.
Yeah.
I thought something was set pieces. When you said set piece, I thought, I think in Demon Souls, when you kick Yurt off the thing, that's like a set piece for me. He's like,
Yeah.
anyway. I'll come back later for your stuff, buddy.
Well, what's funny is that when you backstab him, he has like a little.
There's so many
line where it's
messages. People like, don't trust
decided
liar.
to betray me, eh?
Good loot here. Don't trust liar. Kill this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Sidebar, but that's one good thing that I really want. That's one thing that I'm really gonna like about Dark Souls 2 having the server side messages, because I didn't see shit when I was playing Dark Souls.
Really?
So
I
yeah,
would have people say that
not
they
as
saw
much as
messages.
Demon Souls.
Yeah,
I
Like,
felt like
not
I
as
was
much.
seeing
I
different
remember, like-
messages than other people.
remember like spawning in the Nexus and you had that huge kind of tapestry of notes on the floor.
Well, a lot of those were pre-programmed in.
and so many
in the
falling
Nexus.
deaths.
Right. Some of them were from players though.
Yeah.
You could tell.
So many falling deaths from the suicide leaf.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the
We wanna-
suicide leaf.
Yeah.
all those
Time
bloodstains.
to hollow.
So I'm
But
really
you'd also
gonna
have
enjoy
things
that.
voted up like 5,000, which we never saw in Dark Souls.
Yeah, exactly. Like it
There's-
would be like 12.
Yeah, that was like yeah, if you got double digits, that was a lot. Kind of to go in a really specific, concrete way, but kind of bringing back to archery when we were talking how it was kind of like magic, archery, melee.
Mm-hmm.
This may be an unpopular idea, but for people who played the DLC to Artorias stuff,
Yeah.
that
So good.
amulet ability
Yeah.
was kind of interesting because it was like I mean, I know there's like throwing fire bombs and stuff, but it had a kind of different feel. To me, it felt like kind of using like like almost like a skill. And I was looking at when I was running through with the assassins, you know, the guys who will like jump on you and slit your neck and stuff like that. I thought it'd be interesting because I think the stamina system is one of the best things to come out of this series, and we've seen it kind of get adopted in other places, along with the weird online. Maybe just as you would equip spells, maybe you could equip certain moves. We've already seen them kind of extend moves like the kick, the downward thrust.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want them to make kind of a circus sideshow out of it. It's just like the way you don't really. I mean, I know there are people that do big magic builds, but I'd like to say in general, you know, magic has kind of a limited use. You have a limited amount of charges and whatnot. I think it would be interesting to have some stuff. I mean, I'm so sick of games where, you know, like especially MMOs are like the worst at this, where it's like throw dirt in your enemy's eyes and it's 3 seconds stun. But if there was some sort of, you know, you save some stamina and you do like like the Darkwood grain ring thing.
Yeah.
If that kind of cartwheel thing was actually tied to like a, you know, instead of a roll, it was like this extended roll, but it completely drains your stamina. Or
Maybe
if your
if they tied
stamina,
it to stats. I feel like if you're paying to learn some ability and then equipping it, that's going to be a little too weird. But if it comes, most of the unique moves in Dark Souls come from, you know, specific weapons, right?
Yeah.
Like if you hit if you hit
Exactly.
forward and attack with a specific
but
weapon,
could
you might
that
get
could that move
like
into a new system
the
though?
whoosh with
I
the
mean,
cartwheel.
I like the way that the silver pendant worked. That's the thing that protects you from dark, right? Yeah.
Yes.
The silver. I like that because since it's an item, to make it usable, you have to equip it in your item thing, which means, like for me, when I was playing like Manus, I had my Estus flask and the silver pendant in my items thing, and that's it. So I could swap back and forth.
Right.
And like it limits, even though it's an unlimited use, it limits its functionality because you have to be able to switch to it really quickly. And if you had 5 of them in there, you'd be like, ah, crap, which one is it? Square, 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 you know. And like
checking your
like
armor pockets.
PvPing, like
But what if it was in your magic slots?
see, I don't know. Like I like
Magic and
I like
miracles.
the item thing,
M&Ms.
and it's sparse. And I think in 2, I'd like it to be sparse too, like maybe 3 or 4 different items that do something like that. But I think it's cool because it's an item and it's limited by the fact that it's an item. And like, if you're getting attacked by pursuers, like you want to switch to that thing and be like, you know.
And again, talking about online, what would you guys want to see? Because the Covenants were a little weird. I still think nothing beats being the boss in Demon Souls. In what is that, 3-3?
Yeah, that's extremely cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or helping out against a boss. That's
I
okay
just
too.
want to help.
I mean, but what do you guys want to see in online? I mean, it's, you know, this is where they've really claimed this territory.
You know,
this
I would
game.
like to see kind of I actually want them to change the way that leveling and stats work a bit, just because I didn't like the way that PvP went. Maybe it's just personally. The huge hit point bloat just killed me. Like, I felt like I was playing the game a
Like
certain
gotcha.
way, and I would get into fights with people. I'd be able to like land 2 backstabs or something. They had not backstab me, and they're still like, they're still nowhere near. I'm like totally out fighting these guys. I'm like, how many hit points do you have?
They're like, ouch.
And then I could get knocked down, and the guy's like, oh.
That had to do with the min-max to the game, because the weapons, there was almost no S ranks for skills. So you'd get to whatever you wanted for your weapon.
It felt like a very specialized, if you wanted to get into
everything
PvP,
into vitality.
Yeah.
it felt like you really had to consider it while you were
the other
developing.
games, you get that fucking pure stone, get it to your plus 10 or whatever, where you got your S rank, and then you would put your stats in, and then it made vitality not something that you would put all your extra points into.
Yeah, I felt like I had to play a different game in order to engage in PvP or play in a specific way.
Like in Dark Souls, PvP and PvE are two completely different things. Like
That's
But
also
they're not. That's what makes it interesting.
But they're not, and that's the thing is like, cause my my New Game Plus guy, like I just played the game, right? And so now I'm like 160, and I'm not great at PvP with that guy because he wasn't built for it. You know, I'm like too slow and like whatever. But I can like kill any enemy in the game, no problem, because it's just such a different thing.
percentage-based damage.
One of the things when Dark Souls 1 was coming out, they were talking about in a roundabout way that like it's not about good or evil, but people having opposing goals, and I think that was kind of maybe like the Forest Covenant. Like you're trying to get through, and they're trying to make you not get through. I know I've talked about this 100 times, but not on camera.
Remind me of something after too, just so.
What I'd like to see is, like the boss scenario. This is gonna sound weird, but like sometimes in Gears of War you choose a path and you see your other two bros on the other side, so you just this kind of limited interaction, maybe like audio visual, but not maybe really affecting each other directly. But what if you guys were both like there's two paths and you could like see through not barbed wire, like a prison cell or something like that. But you were both trying to progress, but like you'd flip switches and it would make monsters come into their room while it lowers your drawbridge and vice versa and stuff like that.
How would you get through it solo?
You wouldn't.
It's got to be an option.
No, probably. Yeah.
Or maybe it could be tied to like an NPC quest.
Or no one's harassing you or something like that. It's just easier. But ituld be interesting.
What happens is you get in there and you look at the other guy and he keeps gesturing at you. Hello.
Yeah.
But that's
for like 30 minutes.
That's where the role playing
Dude,
comes
hit
in,
your
right?
switch.
With no voice chat,
Yeah.
you walk around. Like I showed someone in the Crystal Caverns that you could walk on those things. Yeah. He like prostrated to me like 7 times. Role playing.
You know what you're talking about inserting yourself in the game in different ways. I remembered before Dark Souls, before we had solid info on it. It's like, yes, you will be able to affect people's games in different ways. And I was like, it's something that he said led me to believe that you could like be in that person's game as some kind of different kind of entity other than a phantom, like some kind of monster, some kind of other, observer or something like that. And I was thinking, maybe just, like you said, the boss thing is really cool in Demon Souls. Maybe just other ways to insert yourself in the game other than, hey, I'm a phantom, I'm going to kill you. Or, hey, I'm a phantom, I'm going to help you.
It was the Gravelord thing, which never,
no
one ever got.
I never quite,
never
quite got it.
Vagrants, like you never see vagrants.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's what I hope Watch Dogs is, like you can hack someone's game from your phone. Like that's what I hope happens. I don't know if that's, but like stuff like that, like where you could put a vagrant in someone's world or something, or like Gravelord them from.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
and hopefully the server stuff's going to make stuff like Gravelording more viable.
Yeah.
Viable.
I was excited about that before when I showed E3. I'm like, oh, Gravelord, I'm going to totally Gravelord it up. But then it's like, what does it do?
Wait, real
any
quick.
Final thoughts, Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, just one last note on the Covenants.
Yeah.
I feel like with the vanilla edition of Dark Souls, people were more or less kind of coerced into being a Dark Wraith just if they wanted to PvP. I think that with Artorias of the Abyss, having the arena was kind of a good concession because then anyone can access that and readily have a ready-made gauntlet of people to fight. I hope if they decide to bring back the arena in Dark Souls 2, which I do hope they do, maybe that'll give them a little bit more leeway to be creative with the Covenants if they do decide to reuse that system. Because I feel like moments where you could sign up for the Forest Covenant and defend the forest from people, like with that kind of knit neatly into the game's fiction was such a cool part of the Covenant system that I hope that maybe then not having that mandatory PvP Covenant will open it up to cooler possibilities.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Let's do this again soon. Hopefully we'll get some Dark Souls info and we'll have a follow-up, and I think we'll do these quasi-regularly up until the game's release, and then probably post as well.
Down.
We have enough fans. We can rotate some people. Thanks for showing up, Ian.
My pleasure.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Bye.